Hey, Omni Dogs and Omni Kittens. Welcome to Omni Dog's Vault. I'm Omni Dog. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is another episode of Root Beer Reviews. So let's take a look at what our root beer is. This is a giant bottle of Frost Top root beer. Frost Top is a series of drive-ins in the Midwest and Deep South, like Louisiana, West Virginia, places like that. I haven't been, but I found a bottle of this, and it's 32 ounces. So I'm going to be doing like 3 reviews today. Hopefully I like this because this is a bottle that's going to last a long time. So let's take a taste test of Frost Top root beer. Give it a sniff. Smells good. Hey, not bad. Pretty good. This is really good. Wow, I'm really impressed, Frost Top. Good job. This is 32 ounces. This is a tall boy of rooty root beerness. I'm really excited about this. Hang on, I'm going to take one more sip. That's how excited I am. Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about under the radar and over the radar, on the radar rather, superhero books. The industry was built on superheroes, and superhero books range from really intelligent to really stupid. So I've chosen intelligent ones because I don't particularly care for what I don't like in superhero comics is just constant punching out of monsters and aliens, and I'm so bored with that. I've been reading comic books for 50 years now, and I'm really tired of Superman punching out aliens. So anything I can get that is remotely interesting and has a little bit of a twist catches my attention. So the first book that's over the radar, it's a pretty popular book written by Mark Waid, JLA Year One. Now, the first thing you'll notice, check out the main characters in this book. You got Aquaman, Black Canary, and Martian Manhunter in the background. They are not featured a whole lot in a lot of books, so it's significant for that reason. And then you have Green Lantern and the Flash right there too. I will show you a little bit of the art. There is a significant amount of punching out of monsters. It is a superhero book, but this thing has heart. It has some intelligence to it. It's got some nice twists to it. The art is very decent. And it features Black Canary, who I like. She's a strong female character, and I very much dig her. So I like the fact that they've got her in it. It also stars some of the old Justice Society of America characters. It actually stars, like, I mean, you look at a page like this. This is towards the end. It's significant because the Justice League doesn't have Batman or Superman in it. It's this Year One edition with the first 5. But take a look at this picture, and if you're a DC fan at all, the hair on your arms can kind of go up in excitement because there's so many great characters that end up being featured in this book. Now, it does deal with aliens, does deal with an alien invasion, but it's handled pretty smartly by Mark Waid, who manages to capture our interest because he gives each character, he fleshes out each character. He gives them a private life that he goes into. He creates tension within the Justice League itself, the JLA itself, because of their personalities. So they've all got distinct personalities. He fleshes them out, and it's a very good superhero book with a pretty good twist in it that's been done before, but I didn't see it coming. It is an excellent superhero book that is worth at least 2 reads because I read it twice because I was afraid I was going to miss something, and I did pick up on some things through the second read. I liked it because he gave the characters personalities, he fleshed them out, had a good plot, very good story, with a nice solid beginning, middle, and end. So I give this book I'm going to get a little granular here, 3.8 out of 5 root beers, almost 4 out of 5 root beers. Um, it is a very good book, worth your time. Let me show you a little bit more art. You can see it right there, that it's got a typical superhero color palette, very bright, and it's got, of course, Vandal Savage, everybody's most hated villain. He's one of my most hated villains because he's immortal. Um, so I think that you would dig this book. I liked it a lot, and I think that if you're a DC fan, DC superhero fan, this is an intelligently written book. Now, the next superhero book that I picked up and read contains my favorite Batman story ever. That is the deluxe edition of Batman by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso. Hang on, I have to take a sip of Frost Top, and no, I'm not getting any commission or anything from these guys. That is some darn good root beer, I'll tell you right now. And Brian Azzarello, great writer. Eduardo Risso, great artist. And it contains 3 stories, actually 4 stories. One is Scars, the other is a 6-part adventure called Broken City, which pictures a Batman that's very brutal, and I dug it. I mean, Batman goes for it in these. And then it contains my favorite Batman story ever, from Flashpoint, Night of Vengeance, parts 1, 2, and 3, and then it presents the Wednesday comic series Batman. Here's some pics of Broken City. I really enjoyed this because it kept me guessing a lot as to who did what to whom and how, and Batman was kept guessing through it. Batman was, I don't want to give too much away, but Batman does follow a few wrong trails, and some things happen because of Batman's actions in this that wouldn't normally have happened. It has, Azzarello knows how to write a twist because it has a great twist, a couple of great twists, that one I never saw coming. At the very end, never saw it coming, and I was just like, whoa, that is some next level writing. This book also contains, these are still scenes from Broken City, which was, I just loved this story. I didn't remember, I'm sure I read it back when it came out, but it contains a twist that just is unbelievable. He really knows how to write. He really knows how to write a twist, because it also contains Night of Vengeance, which is the Flashpoint story. You do need to know a little bit about Flashpoint, which was the rebooting of New 52. I happen to be one of the people that liked New 52. I happen to be one of the people that really liked Flashpoint. I thought it was excellent. I had it bound, all the floppies bound into hardcovers. That's how much I liked it. Night of Vengeance, in 50 years, I have never read a greater twist, ending, reveal to a story ever. Now that includes Irredeemable, which is my all-time favorite comic, which my all-time favorite ending, but this twist is right up there. Okay, maybe number 2 to Irredeemable. And here is some of the artwork to Night of Vengeance. I guess you could almost consider it an Elseworlds, but it took place right before New 52, so it all happened in kind of a different timeline. So the only thing you would have to know is you'd have to know a little bit about Flashpoint, and maybe you can Wikipedia it if you did not read Flashpoint. But Flashpoint was a great event, and the artwork is clean and crisp, and the color palette is um, beautiful in this. Throughout the book, it's as you might expect. The color palette is a little bit muted, but still nicely colored. But since it is Batman, it's not brightly colored like JLA was. But throughout it, it is these very muted colors. So it is an excellent book. I do have a little quibble in that it has an excellent story at the end from Wednesday Comics. And if you'll recall, Wednesday Comics were these giant um, newspapers that came out weekly for a while back in the 2000s. And they each was a one shot, a one page each week for 12 weeks. And so it's kind of tiny in this format. If you see behind me, Wednesday Comics right here is this red spine book. It's big, so you get a big broadsheet of what it looks like. And my only complaint is this is a great story, but it's really teeny tiny, and so you can barely see what's going on in it, which is too bad because it's a great story. Another great couple of twists in it that I didn't see coming. But this book gets 4.5 out of 5 root beers. Way intelligent. It's a Batman that you don't often see. Totally kicking ass. And he's something else in this book. And it's got Night of Vengeance, my favorite story ever. And then we go to very intelligent superhero. This is kind of under the radar. A lot of people know it, but it's not available in hardcover right now. This is Incognito by the fabulous team of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. The good news is a reprint for the hardcovers was just announced, which is why I'm giving it a review, so you can get all prepped. I believe they're coming out in January, along with Criminal, his masterpiece, Criminal Volume 1 and Volume 2. Incognito is much more than a superhero comic. It's about a supervillain living in witness protection after he decides to go against the head of the criminal organization he was working for. Now, he's a supervillain. There are all kinds of superheroes. There's an interesting way that Brubaker created these superheroes and supervillains. It's very interesting how they got their powers. But of course, it's Brubaker, so it's not so much about the villains and their powers. It's about the human condition and dealing with what it's like to be in witness protection, what it's like to have these powers, what it's like to not be able to use these powers. And the head criminal is very interestingly written. I mean, the top guy that's in prison, our Incognito guy, is also extremely well written. His last name's Overkill, and I'll give you a shot of some of the art, which is, of course, Sean Phillips, so you know it's going to be great. The color palette goes from bright like this to, well, it stays very nice and bright throughout it, but it does have some muted scenes where you deal with Overkill and the issues that he faces. It's much more than a superhero book. It's more about a man trying to figure out who he is and what he's up to. So I highly recommend this book because it has more twists and turns than a flippin' roller coaster, and it also contains the not only does it contain Incognito, but it's got Incognito Bad Influences, which is an even darker story, and that color palette is still kind of a muted, but still pretty colorful. But There are lots of twists and turns in this book, lots of stuff about how he got to be the way he is, dealing with the fact of who he is and what he's done, how he tries to make amends for it, how he continues to get in trouble for it, the managing of a supervillain in witness protection. And I can't say enough about this book. When it comes out in hardcover in January of 2018, you have to get it. This is 5 out of 5 root beers because this goes deep. There are several layers to this onion. Once you think you've got it figured out, he throws in another twist, that guy, Ed Brubaker, and you have to keep figuring out what motivates this guy. What really is he up to, and what's going on in that brain of his? Because you are seeing his thoughts. He is trying to figure things out, and it's a very human superhero book. So I highly recommend Incognito. And since Criminal's getting a reprint, I'd be happy to do a review of those because I love those books, and it's time for me to reread them. But before I sign off, I'm getting a little dry here. So let me have a little frost top. Nice. And that'll do it. So we've got some recommendations here. We've got Incognito, definitely worth a buy. Batman Deluxe Edition by Azzarello and Risso, also worth a buy. And for you superhero fans, if you dig the Justice League and DC superhero comics, you're going to want to get JLA Year 1. I know Felipe Sarmiento must really want that book. I'm sure he's read it 2 or 3 times already. The main DC guy next to me. I've been reading DC longer than he's been alive. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate any comments you want to throw my way. Let me know. I'll try and answer any questions I can. And thanks for watching. You'll be getting about 3 more reviews from me because I got a whole huge bottle of root beer to finish. So thanks for tuning in, dudes and dudettes. Talk to you later.